What's the worst you've ever been cock-blocked/beaver damned? Back when I was 18, just out of high school, was with this woman who I knew from HS, who asked me to go with her back to her place, and she was not subtle about it at all. Friend of mine overheard this and stole her wallet. As if he didn't score. No one scored. Spent 2 hours looking for the wallet until she rang her sister to take her home. After he hands me the wallet and winks saying, "Better luck next time back." Looking back, probably one of the biggest turning points of my life, as it showed me what kind of person he was. My M23 GF F20 lives 4 hours away from me, and we've been dealing with her LDR since the pandemic hit because she decided to leave college and go back home. Anyways, whenever I go to stay with her, we stay at her parents because she still lives at home. Their house is full to say the least. 3 siblings, 3 foster kids and grandma all stay in one residence. Typically it's not that bad, and we can get some privacy in the early morning, 2 to 4 am, but they all have zero boundaries. I don't think I've heard a single person knock on the door besides her mother, and I think that was out of fear. Everybody else just opens the door mid-sentence, like they have x-ray vision. The specific time in question. It was around 10:30 PM and we were watching a movie in her room on her twin-sized bed. Lol. She wants me to go down and I oblige. Her pants are down. I'm under the covers and going to town. Nana decides to roll up and tap on the open window to ask about what she's planning on making for breakfast. God damn it. GF freezes and squeezed my head between her legs like a chokehold and just carried on the conversation like I wasn't there. I just sat there and tried not to move until Nana asked where I went, and I got real nervous. Luckily, GF said I got up to go to the restroom and I'd be back in a moment. Nana left. But GF said that the panic was enough to kill the mood, so we just laughed it off and watched the rest of our movie. I was at a sorority party and this girl I was vibing with takes me by the hand and leads me upstairs to find a private spot. My friend sees this and literally grabs me halfway up the stairs and says we have to go and drags me out of the party. I was pretty faded and trusted his judgment in the moment. We make it out to the street and I ask him what's going on. He tells me he was back saving me from hooking up with that girl who he felt was not up to paragraph. I was so lit I didn't care, and then we proceed to wrestle out on the street as I'm trying to go back inside. We never made it back inside the party. On a lunch break in high school and a girl who I had been flirting with quite a bit asked where I was going for lunch and I responded my place. She then gave me a look and asked if she could join. We were just getting into the parking lot when a friend saw and ran over to ask if he could come. I felt awkward about the whole thing so said sure. He then yelled shotgun to sit next to me on the drive to my place. I then proceeded to make them both grilled cheese and soup. Very disappointing lunch break. The worst is the time I cock-blocked myself. On my 21st birthday at my favorite club at university I was dancing with a girl, and after kissing she asked me where I lived. At which point I noticed my friends had left, so I drunkenly made my excuses and went and found them in the chicken shop for some fried food to soak up the booze. Well done me. I was at a party when I was about 19 with some of my high school friends at this house. I think the owner was a friend of a friend. Anyways, I start talking to this girl. She's super into me. We are talking all night and playing drinking games together, and she's basically attached to my hip. I feel real confident this is going somewhere. Before I could make my move, something happened and a few of my friends got kicked out of the party, so we all had to go. We are outside the house planning out next move, and the girl came with me, still attached to my hip. One guy in our group, who I didn't really know that well, was saying he just wanted to go home. He then looked at the girl who was with me and said, "Hey, can I go with you? Yeah, I'll get a ride with you." Yo guys, I found a ride, and the girl looked visibly uncomfortable by how this guy she had no interaction with and didn't know suddenly decided he was going home with her. She just very awkwardly muttered "I'm gonna go," and did a 180 turn back to her friends in the party. The dude didn't even comprehend what he just did. I was so upset and really stopped hanging out with that dude after that. My best friend at the time from high school to early 20s. Would be terrible when we were around new guys or anyone she thought was cute. She was very flirty and loud. Always needed all eyes on her. I was not. I'm still not that way. I was talking to a guy at a party. He seemed smart and genuine. We were talking about our favorite authors and she walked up and said, "I don't know why you're talking to her about this. She can't even read." And then she started flirting with him hard. So I walked away. I'm pretty sure they slept together. My husband and I, before we got married, were taking advantage of the 20 minutes I had before I had to leave for work when someone knocked on our door. We didn't answer. Then we hear someone using a key to enter our home. It was my husband's old roommate, who I already fucking despised, using his old key long after he'd moved out to welcome himself into our home to look for something he might have left in storage. I'm still mad. I was at the bar one night and had a girl into me. We started making out somewhere out back and I realized she was way too gone to consent. Told her as much. Bam. Diabetic seizure. Had to call an ambulance. I was dating a girl that was also on board the same Navy ship as I. At sea. And we were in a locked room getting a little frisky. I had just gotten inside her when the man overboard alarms go off. After the half hour it took to settle that out, we returned to the locked room to continue where we left off. Not 5 minutes later the alarm went off again because everyone on the ship took too long the first time and apparently we needed to do it again. We gave up after the second time. Been married to her for 17 years now. In high school I met a new girl on the bus. Liked her immediately and got the same feel from her. I'm a slow mover so was kinda easing into things when through the rumor mill I learned one of my oldest friends since 5th grade was also interested and had told others he would shoot me if he found me going around her moving forward. Got on this odd spot where I didn't want to be at odds with a guy I'd been having sleepovers with and gone on scout camping trips and all the other things we'd done together for years, and a girl I just met, so in a calculated way I decided to back off the girl, and since I knew this buddy was very fat and redneck minded I'd let him shoot his shot, and when she turned him down I'd be golden with no hard feelings. Turns out he managed to get in there and was dating her, but was still so crazy jealous of me, he never really talked to me again. A year later they had broken up, and I got a call from her asking if I wanted to hang out. It's a long story, but we've been together for 20 years and married for 10. Was at a bar and a woman starts coming up to me and we start chatting. Woman is clearly interested in me and is kissing me and whispering sweet nothings into my ear, so I ask her if she wants to go for a walk on the beach and she agrees. Right as we are leaving the bar, a man walks up and asks what we are doing. Bear in mind neither of us knew who he was. We tell him we are going for a walk on the beach and he promptly decides to join us for our walk and literally does not leave our side for the next 2 hours. I wanted to explode. This happened on Halloween one year in college. So I went to the bars and came back early as I wasn't feeling the party vibes. I met this random girl who was dressed in the same costume but girl version, and we were both luigi. Before you know it, she brought over her friends and my upstairs neighbor decided to join in and hang out with us in my apartment. Me and this girl were vibing but my drunken neighbor decided to swoop in on her and sat himself right between us. They started chatting and he cut me out of the conversation, so I just decided to say fuck it. Is what it is. Then they go to my bathroom to start hooking up and I picked up on that and her friend had to use the bathroom. And I pointed her to the bathroom and they came out super awkwardly and went into my room. That's when I got pissed. I was like, oh hell no. So I confronted him and told him, if y'all two wanna do the deed, bring her back to your apartment with your GF there, and he got quiet. He took her outside and she came back pissed, understandably so. Then as she was trying to get her friends to leave, one was all doped up on Ambien or some shit and tried to borrow my shoes. And this part still sticks in my memory. One of the girls of this group stood up above the rest as they were all chatting amongst each other, and the doped up one trying to get my shoes, and clapped her hands and said, ladies, rise. And all of them simultaneously stood up without missing a beat, and left my apartment. Then after all this had went down, My roommate comes out of his room, who had been home this whole time and I didn't know it, said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I asked him, "Did you not hear any of that?" His reply, "No, I had my headphones on playing League of Legends." Still one of the weirdest nights of my life. Edit. This happened my first year as a transfer student at a new college. Edit 2. Sorry for my grammatical errors. Edit 3. This happened at the good old University of Oregon. I will share my own. I was living in my college dorm on campus and had met a girl at a party earlier that night. We headed back to my dorm room and we were making out when suddenly the fire alarm went off. When we stepped out of the dorm, there was water flooding down the elevator and stairs from 2 floors above. Some drunk idiot decided to punch one of the sprinklers and broke it off the wall, flooding from the 6th floor down and causing over $1 million in damages. The girl left back to her own dorm in a different building on campus, and I had to stay with a friend for 3 days while they did disaster cleanup. The person who broke the sprinkler was expelled from the university and had to pay the insurance deductible for the building, which totaled to about $150. 000. This was only a month into his first year of college. Never met up with that girl again. Edit. This happened at the University of Regina in Saskatchewan, Canada. Me and my ex were having a morning quickie before work, and just as things were starting up, our roommate banged on the door freaking out because there was a roach in her bathroom and she needed me to kill it. Mood was dead when I returned, lol. My girlfriend and I were quietly trying to get it going one night and my roommate's boyfriend decided to leave his laptop loudly playing the sound of a baby crying outside my bedroom to shut off our libidos. I'm still fairly certain this is because he and my roommate weren't having sex yet and it was his way of taking it out on us. In high school my friend threw a house party and when me and my boyfriend retired to the guest room, some friends rolled up a big ass speaker to the door and played "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," then proceeded to go through the entire Lion King soundtrack. Edit to at, no we did not fuck that night, LMAO. Performance anxiety is a real bitch. He had me tied up in his bedroom for some kinky fun. His toddler daughter, who we had put to bed an hour earlier and made sure she was sound asleep, came bursting through the door screaming "poop" because she was potty training and would yell that when she had to go. Now I'm tied up and gagged. He's in the bathroom getting ready. She is pooping her diaper and thinking we are playing some game. We did not have sex that night. My brother used to regularly enter my room when I was with my high school boyfriend. Several times we were in the throes. He would just barge in and fucking stand there. We were naked under the covers, so we would just scream at him until he left, which made him laugh and made us angrier. Thankfully this was 10 years ago. My brother is much more considerate and the boyfriend is now an ex. But it still pisses me off to think about. Edit. I envy those of you who had locks on your bedroom doors. It's not really the norm for rented units, in my experience. My boyfriend and I were planning to ride our motorcycles a few hours north to a little touristy town, eat at our favorite Mexican restaurant, and spend the weekend in an old-fashioned lakeside motel. I told a friend of mine about this plan the morning before we left. That evening, when boyfriend and I are seated at the restaurant and enjoying our meal, suddenly said friend appears beside our table. She had hitchhiked 250 miles to get there, in spite of the fact that she had not been invited to join us. She also had no money on her and no way of getting back home. So we reluctantly let her spend the weekend with us. If this were to happen to me now, I would have no problem politely yet assertively telling my friend that she would not be joining us on our weekend getaway. But at the time I was like 22 years old and still had a lot to learn about standing up for myself with people who have no sense of boundaries.